Parshas Vayelech. Vayelech, Moshe went. There's a difference between a malach and a person. A malach is a oimid, a person is a hoilech. Even the individual of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, he didn't give up. He was a hoilech. Vayelech Moshe. One second. Vayelech Moshe. Moshe went. So even though he was. You can hear me? Am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vayelech Moshe, Moshe went. A person that dies is a oimid. A person that so the lesson is you always have to you want to shidduch for the boy or the girl. You're looking for somebody in growth mode. You're looking after the wedding. They're trying to grow. When they're middle aged, they're trying to go. When they're getting older, and they wake up in the morning, they have something to do. They're so refreshed because I've got a mission. I have to take it. I have to finish that. I have things to do. I have to spade to be while I'm still alive. Hayoy means this day is the very day, as if there's no other day. So that's Vayelech Moshe. It says, what is it? I'll give you Yeshua. Hashem told Yeshua, I'll give you Mahalchim Beina Oimdim. You'll be a Mahalach. There's always Avram Avinu starts off Lech Lecha. That was his mission. Go to Israel. That means Lech Lecha. You have to growth mode. You have to grow and go and go. And it finishes off Lech Lecha. Let it Hamaria Al Haramaria. Go to Hamri also. You got to keep on going. If somebody, you look at these old people that they have a mission, they go to the shir, they go to the minyan, and they go to the chesed. These people are alive. Every day is full. It's satisfactory. It's fulfilling. Then we have le'ene kol Yisrael chazak v'amatz. A person, a leader, has to be soft inside, but outside is le'ene kol Yisrael. They want to see a leader that's a powerful leader. They want to have soft on the inside, but crusty on the outside. Tough on the outside, not tough in your face, but assertive. Yeah, he has to know what he wants, and he has to have a shita, and he has to follow it. And there's no wavering how the weather goes, what this Gevir say, that Gevir say. If you see a withering rabbi, nobody likes. People hate a wimp. People hate weak people, especially bullies hate weak people, but everybody does. You got to be a strong character because you're convinced. Your conviction has to be 100%, and then you can be soft in the character, but convincing and totally, burnt up and lit up and ignited and passionate for what you believe in, for your convictions. Then you have just a cute word, and then I'll get into the meat and potatoes. I said it's mitzvah. You have it's first says Hein Korvi Yemekalamas. I just told it over in shul to somebody, I guess. It's a very cute. I like the word because it's very important. It says this is by after Shishi. No, this is Hamishi. Hamishi in Vayelech, which way you lane till Hamishi in the weekdays. So Vayoyim Hashem al Moshe Hein Korvi Yemekalamas. Your days of dying lamos, the lotion of lamos, and then it says cross Yeshua, and I'll tell you what to know. And then the next pasuk, no, two psukim weiter. Vayom Hashem Moshe hincha shoichiv imavisecha, not hincha meis, but hincha shoichiv imavisecha. What's the nafkamina between shoichiv and meis? And it's pretty significant. It's very significant. And here's the thing. David HaMelech, it says also shoichiv. Why? So Chazal say why? But David the Melech is shoichem because David the Melech left over Shloim HaMelech. If you leave over kids that go b'derech Hashem, worthy children that they take your mantra, they take your mission statement, and they go to the bank, they convince like you, and they follow with it, and they continue it, and they spread God's blessings around. Those people, it's only shoichem. But if it's abruptly stopped. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem tells him, "Hein korvi mechalamas." You didn't leave over. Your sons are not that significant. They're not fired up with your passion. They don't have what it takes, and therefore, but later he says, "Call Yeshua." Yeah, he says, where? But Kro es Yeshua. Right now, like it's like a dead duck. It stops abruptly right here. But Kroos Yeshua called Yeshua Satzboil Moed Vatzavenu. Vayelech Moshe v'Yeshuv v'Yisas they both stood together. Oh, now you're standing together. In other words, you have a Talmud. Oh, Vishnanta Levanecha says Rashi, Ela Talmidim. Oh, your Talmud's like your kid. If you teach your kids Torah is Kiliyolda. So this is your kid. Now you're living over somebody. Now Hashem says a whole different story. This is already in another thing is this week's parsha, which is also cute. It says here, but this is by Shvi, right? Vayikach Moshe lichteves divrei Torah zois al sefer atumam. It's not only it says atumam not once, but tumam means till the end. He gave her a message to the end, and here he wrote it, right? When it comes to next week's parsha, but then after the shira, this week it talks about the shira. Next week it says the shira, the Hazinu shira, right? So it says Vayovoy Moshe vaydaber es kol divrei shira zois bozne om. Moshe came and he said all the shira, this song, the everlasting song, the eternal song of the Jewish people, which this next week, I'm going to read it, it describes the past, present, and future. And it says, Hu Voisheya Benun, him and Ishe Benun. There's no two mom. What, he didn't say till the end? And what do you have to write till the end? If he said he's going to say till the end to complete what he's going to say, half a message. So what's the point over here? The teretz is in halacha. See, I explained this to somebody tonight because he had kashas in the way a mold. There was one guy he benched and everybody said amen. One guy that knew how to daven and everybody said amen. One guy that danced by the weddings and everybody stood around and clapped. People didn't get there was no hands-on participation. It wasn't tangible. It was like more theory and Akshara. Today, everybody's not sitting on the sidelines and watching the players play football, whatever it is. People are getting into the nitty gritty, and people are getting to the thick and thin of things. People are making use of all the mitzvahs and all the inspiration. And people, it used to be for the rich people. There's a shuvayam. Everybody. No, it's not for sure. It's for everybody. So there was a metargim. So the Gemara says you shouldn't read more than 3 psukim. So the metargim shouldn't lose track, right? So he's going to say 3 psukim. Then Yeshua was sort of the middleman. Who ve'hoshea benun. Therefore, it's not atuman. He didn't say only 3 psukim at a time. But in this week's parsha, Vayelech before Azinu, it says Atum because Moshe was talking without Yeshua, and if he's talking without Yeshua, he can say the whole message Atum until then, not 3 psukim at a time. Okay, this segues into something. I heard this from a rabbi. He called me up to Vinch Agutyor, Nebalg, I think his name is. What a wonderful atzadik, a good sight for a mensch. I mean, you want to know regal, you want to be royal, you want to see a famous for a good sight for a mensch who everybody loves. Every rabbi has enemies, those people that want to map everybody, but in general. So he calls me up from time to time to mention me this. So this rabbi has got 40, 50 communities under him. Why is he calling me little guy from Lvov? So he told me this beautiful story, which I didn't know. Probably all the Hasidim know. He was surprised I don't know it. Reb Shlomo the Domsk, I forgot the Domsk. I can't remember which one. When the guy asked him the kavonis, there's all the stories about Kitzes and Baal Shem Tov's Baltageh. Nice stories, but I want to give a story I like a lot more. Because it explains it a lot more in detail. Now, I don't remember all the details, but please listen. Hagdama to this is the following. We had some Gedalia today. Gedalia ben Achika. So Gedalia, the great Gedalia, it's a big brach. It's Misa Sadikim is mamish like Purim Beis Hamikdash. That means he was on top of the top. The question is, who was Amcha? Who was he dealing with? You know what? Most of the Gedoyle Oilim, most of the great of the greatest went to bubble. All the greatest. Against Tishi, there was nobody to go to the table with. He had Amcha, he had the lowest of the low. He had the simplest of the simple. He had the simple tongues that Gedalia ben Achikim and them. And let's take a step further. When they come back by the second base of English, right? Ezra, Nehemiah, they come back 42,000 plus. I forgot the number in Tanakh. It says, who did they come with? Read the Haftarah. He's telling them to drop their um, non-religious. I'm sorry, wives that aren't in the covenant, wives that aren't in the same religion. They're not in the same community. So you know, intermarried people, they cut themselves off. They cut off the future. If the wife is not Jewish, it's the maternal lineage. They decide if it's the mother is Jewish, the kid is Jewish. Look who we're dealing with. That's how you're building the second base of English. Look who we're dealing with a few thousand years later, almost 2,000 years later, 1,900 years later. Who's Hashem putting in charge of this government of Israel? People that totally are not bought into his message. And he's using them. This gives me the unbelievable ahava that Hashem has. He's taking people Deloy Miley. They're not convinced with it. They're not broadcasting, they're not promoting his message. They're missing the main point of the coming back to Israel, coming back home, coming back to the nest. And he's using them. So let's go to the Radomska. So the Radomska, so this rabbi, this chief rabbi from England, I forgot Edward, I forgot the name, the area. So he told me this Radomska, the Rebbe told his Baltakeya, you know who you have in mind? You have in mind Yiddelach, the, the simple tones, Pashati Yiddelach. Now, if you're gonna think you're talking about the big tzaddikim like Yishai, Ben Yishai that never had any Avedas, or Yosef Atzadik, or you're going to talking about the big Rosh Hashivas that maybe they have some Avedas, but they're Marabitz Torah, maybe the Balei Chasodim, maybe the Grois Rebbes that they warm up, hordes of Yidden to Lavidas Hashem. Maybe the people that are doing Kirov, the inspiring Balshus, no. So this says to the Domska, maybe you're going to talk about the Push, the honest, ehrlich Yid. No, no, no. He says you're talking about a Yid that Aves Nitamul, that is Yom Kippur that day. And he came to the market and he didn't see anybody selling anything. And he said, "What's the matter? I came to the market. There used to be the Jews, used to handle, and there's nobody. We're all the hustlers over here. There's nobody here. I want to buy and sell garnished." And they told him, "Vaisnish, a big yomtiv, a Jewish yomtiv." And he comes home and tells his wife, "I'm sorry, I came home without the goods because there's a yomtiv today apparently, and we didn't know that, and therefore the market's totally empty. There's nobody there." So she says, "A yomtiv?" He says, "Yeah. No, what do you mean a yomtiv? Where's the food? She says, "I don't have anything." So she tells him, "Go to the forest," and then he took his rifle, his gun, or whatever, and he goes to the forest to hunt. And he hunts up, I forgot the name of this big bird, a duck, whatever it is. Of course, not kosher. And he kills it on Yom Tov, and no shchita, no nothing. And he brings it home, and she cooks it on Yom Kippur. And then they say, what about the wine? What about the kids? He goes and and he breaks rule after rule, and they finally have a geschmacka, sumptuous meal on Yom Kippur, the Yom Tov. And then she says, "1 second, we're going to go into town. You got to wash yourself. You're all sweated up. You're from the work and everything else." So he goes and goes to warms up hot water, cooks hot water, and then just Havana and on Yom Tov. And then she says, "What, with a clean body, you're going to wear dirty clothing?" So we have to wait another few hours. They go to the river and they go wash. And then they take a hot metal or something and squeeze it down to iron the clothing. There's also Yom Kippur. And then they sit down with the clean clothing and the clean body, and then they ungetrinken mit L'chaim wine on Yom Kippur with a Suda, and they had bossa v'cholov because she cooked. They didn't know better. They cooked it with milk, and Nebuch didn't know better. So bossa v'cholov, and now they're traveling into town to see what the Yom Tov is all about, and they come in, and the Eibishter says this Yidela. He didn't know. He meant L'Shem Shemayim, but he didn't know what they want in Shemayim. He broke every rule on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. The Radomska says this Yidila have a mind on by Tkiya Shofar. That's the innocence and the sincerity of a Pashat Yid that feels I'm missing something. I can't quite get my hands on it. I can't quite determine what it is, but it's something that I want. I'm yearning for something. He doesn't even know what he's missing, but he feels he's missing something. And this passion he brings with himself. And Hashem says it's this Yidila. And when you blow the shofar, no notes, no musical notes, no fancy stuff, no high chachma. Just a simple cry from the heart. That's the person. That's the person who Hashem is. Now, when you get that information, you say to yourself, 1 second, you're coming in New Year's, being Kesel Osir. What's Kesser? Kesser is covered. Osir is the 10th, that's Yom Kippur. Kesser is Tiku B'Chodesh Shofar B'Kesser Yom Chagenu. Below the Shofar, when the Levana is sort of covered, when you don't see, it doesn't reflect off the sun, because it's right between you and the sun, so it's not on the side that can reflect. That's when. What's the symbolism? The symbolism, I don't know. It's dark, it's gloomy, it's doom. I don't know, doom and gloom, and I don't know if I'm going to have a good year. I don't know what lies ahead of us. And when a person is all worried, Hashem says, take that shofar and shrayos. I want to coronate you as my melech because you've got it all figured out. I don't, but I'm not God. You are God, and the ball is in your court by me. I have total hope in you. I have total immun in you. I trust you. You'll do the best for me. Why? Because you love me. You love even that Yiddilah that doesn't know any better on Yom Kippur. So now you come to the Yamim Noraim, and you have two things. There's no better way to get a Yeshua than a person that understands that Hashem loves you and trusts that Hashem loves you. And of course, you have to trust that Hashem is competent. So he wants the best for me. So let's get into that for 1 second. If somebody comes to Hashem and he's a not happy camper, and whatever you do for him is never enough, but this, he always focuses on what he doesn't have, he or she doesn't have yet. It's a waste of time. Hashem says, I'll give it to somebody that appreciates it. I want happy campers. I want to make people happy. I want people to be satisfied. I want people to be fulfilled. And therefore, I give him hardships. And when they overcome these milestones, people feel pretty good about themselves. And if you didn't do anything, you sat on the side, there's no way. I always told my kids that if you don't participate in the Suda Shabbos somewhat, something. Don't come complaining that you don't enjoy it. You have to put in the toil, you have to put in the wisdom, the mind, the planning. You have to participate, you have to create. If you don't create, you're a creator without creating, is a creation without creating cannot be happy. You have to be cognizant of that. I'm trying to solve problems, even small problems, but I have to be beneficial. I have to be a blessing. If not, there's no way to be happy. And Hashem, if Hashem sees that somebody, we always repeat that. I don't know who said it, but everybody knows it. Hashem is a humorist. And if somebody says, how you doing? And he says it can't be worse, Hashem says, oh, I'll show you how it can be worse. And if somebody says it couldn't be better, because if it would be better, I think the Prophet Chaim said, if it would be better, Hashem would make it better. That means he feels for me right now, it's not good to have it better for some reason. And if you say couldn't be better, Hashem says, couldn't be better, I'll show you. Oh, and it could be much better. And therefore, when a person comes to Rosh Hashanah, the first thing you have to say, instead of me focusing on this thing that hurts me, this organ that doesn't work as it's supposed to, but there's 99% does work. 99 out of 100 reasons you have to be thankful. If you're a happy camper and you say thank you for 99 things, and for that one thing you have a little tefillah, oh, that the shofar takes care of. But if a person is not happy, so whatever he's always complaining, he always focuses on the negative, there's no waste of time. And therefore, and he wants a good year. So I'm not saying somebody that's sick and mentally challenged and he doesn't have the capacity. I'm talking about the people, most of us that we do have capacity. We could tune into the awareness. We could try to be appreciative. Now, what's the bigger picture? That's the personal sort of thank you when you come to the Shana, Tuli, and Kippur, Aseres Meitshuva. But then you have sort of you come with the bigger picture, and this is easy as it gets. I don't know. I'm not a historian, but for a little guy like me, I don't recall anything similar to what we had this year as a Jewish nation. This is not Zionist, anti-Zionist. It's Poshet Kipshut to keep your eyes open, even somewhat like 2% open, and just tell me if you don't see this. You have a year ago. I don't know. I don't know the dates. If it was a year ago, more or less, I don't remember. But about a year ago, when things were pretty, we were worried. We were worried about Iran and all the taxis and all the Hezbollah right on top of Israel, and then go on to Syria, go on to Iran, go to the Houthis, go to the southwest. I'm sorry, southwest Hamas. We were surrounded, and Egypt not. Egypt doesn't want to wage war. Egypt doesn't want to destroy us. They're more dangerous than everybody around put together. With what was it, 120 million people? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. The fact that what Hashem did for us, He did away with Hezbollah, He did away with Syria, He did away with Iran, He did away with the Houthis for the most part. Yes, they still that's because the government aren't convinced enough. What do you expect? People that don't have Hashem as the focal point of the never. What could you do? That's what Hashem has for us right now. That's what He put on our plate. And then you have the Hamas and all that. You got to be kidding me. If a person can't see this, that since Yetzias Mitzrayim, when was there any time in the Jewish nation? Yeah, we have a lot of hatred all around the world. Yes, we do. But who cares about them? We care about our Jews that are living amongst these enemies. But the point is, they'll hate you anyway. They'll always find something against you. And please do something to protect your wives and children. At least be convinced. Believe in Hashem as much as Hashem believes in you. And if a person is convinced, you have to say, the ahava that Hashem showed as a collective to the Jewish nation this year. I'll just give you a little fact. Since the last year, there are thousands of people just in Ukraine alone that were dying to become Jewish. Thousands of people. That's only in Lvov. What about with about 1 million people, roughly speaking? With all the foreigners and everything, and all the people from other, you have dozens of millions of people all around us, all around the all. So many want to become Jewish. So many want to become Jewish. What they saw the harbor from Hashem to His nation, it's unprecedented. We never had anything like that. I mean, I'm talking about for millennia we didn't have like that. So a person comes and he says, "Thank you." That's more powerful than any tefillah. That is the true tefillah. That's why the emphasis on Psukkah de Zimra for hours, Psukkah de Zimra, thanks, and then you ask what you ask for, and you get it much quicker that way. So it's so late already. I didn't even start yet. So let's quickly segue into the next thing because the time is running. Uh, There's another way. So one thing is by thanking, personally and collectively. The second thing is become a blessing. If you become a blessing, you say, if we don't have it in us and we don't have what it takes and our account is empty, it's dried out. And we need atzoma yeveshis. You got to put new life in it. You come to Hashem and you say, I said this over in Lvov a few days ago in a shir, but I want to say it here too. Asay lemanchem lo lemanenu. There was this 35-year-old lady. She had 9 kids, and she had, I don't know, terrible yenemachla, and that's it was. She knew she has an hour or two left. That's it. And she sends out her kids because she didn't want them to see. Apparently, she didn't want them to see. They thought so that she didn't want them to see her dying. So she sent them out. They went out. She didn't see. She They didn't close the door all the way, and as daughters do, they yeah. So they were listening in, and she with the letzte koyke, she says to the Rebbeinu Shalom, "Was ist to haben? What are you going to have? What are you going to gain if from one more matzev in the Beis HaKvaros? What are you going to gain from a few more kapitel of Tilim by the Levaya? If you give me a new life, and you give me a chance, Mr. Kol Yochel, because you're a melech. A melech is a Kol Yochel. Like Chana told the Eibishter, Vayspalil al Hashem, not El to al Hashem for the sake of God. It's the greatest Hil Hashem. If you take a good person and they don't have kids, and they don't have nachas of the kids, and they don't have shidduchim, and they don't have gesund and panosa and mazel. It's chafil Hashem. What is the world going to say? Melech is kol yochol. It looks like that you're not competent. It looks like that the kensnish, or even worse, maybe you don't even love me. I don't want for the tefillah. I daven for your sake. Leman Hashem, please, please give me a kid. So shouldn't be a chil Hashem. And she davened Hashem, and at almost 20 years she davened, 19 plus years, and she had a baby. And then she said, when Eli wanted to rabbi, she wanted to do away. He wanted to do it with Eli. I'll give you a better kid. And she says, I want my kid. I don't need better. Alana zes palalti. I davened for this kid almost 20 years. I put in so much koiches and me and shveis. I put in my whole essence. I put in every drop, every neshama that I have, that I possess. I put into this kid. I don't want freebies. I want something that I invested my whole life and everything that I ever have, and I invested in that. So when she says, Hashem, what are you going to have from another caver? What are you going to have another tombstone? And the basic chorus says, if you don't have enough, what are you going to have when another few Yisayim with a few Kaddishes? And that's the Yiskadl, it's a Gavaldig Gazah. But I want to offer you the following. She says, Hashem, if you give me back my life, I'll sacrifice everything I have. And with great joy and pleasure, I'll do everything for you. I'll go to the Beis Yisayim, the orphanages, the old home, the Moshe Zakenim, students that don't have. If it's in the weekends, if it's Bein Hazmanim, if it's Yom Tov, wherever there's a need, I'm going to volunteer without a penny. My husband works for Hashem; he brings in the money. I'm going to volunteer for free. I'll from the morning to in the morning and the afternoon. I'll devote myself 100% for free to cook and bake. I know how to cook, I know how to bake, and I'll bake for everybody wherever you need me in every kitchen, and I'll always be there for the shul, for the kela. I'll always be there. And guess what? Within a few days, she was out of the hospital. Never took the chemotherapy didn't work. Nothing worked. All the organs just were turned off. Literally, at the rate she thought she has an hour left. That if you become a blessing unto Ma'asecha Yibaruch is the greatest blessing in the world. Try to help out others, and if you don't have it in you, so at least give them compliments. At least light up somebody's day. Give them physics, something. There's no such a thing that there's nobody that can get. There are people are so low, are so broken, so lonely. Anybody, a nobody would go over to them and give them a good word. It would mean the whole world to them. So I'm not saying no excuses, but don't sell yourself short. Everybody can help and give somebody blowing new oxygen, new life into somebody. What? It's already over? Whoever has to go to sleep is whatever. I have to continue just a little. So another little mice. If somebody annoys you, this is the 10 Aseres Meitshuva. I want to remind you the little story with the old man that was pretty annoying, right? And he came. There was the nine people that davened early, and they had the offices in the Twin Towers, but in the and they were rushing the kitzah, and they couldn't find it. They were just about to start diving the bichidis after waiting for a whole hour, mind you. And then the second they start diving bichidis, a guy walks in. He's got Yortzeit. He needs to say Kaddish, please, please, please don't daven bichidis. And okay, and there's you got to make it really quick. We have meetings 9 in the morning, and we have to be before to prepare the kitzah. At Chayuz geschleppte davening, he couldn't daven fast, and he was getting having a hard time getting through the words. But kitzah, kish, and 8:45 he finished. They were they were so mad. They were so overwhelmed. I'm missing out. I blew it big time, but they were mentioned. They were good people, and they felt bad for this old man, and they felt bad he wanted to say Kaddish, and they really revived him. They gave him the physical, they gave him the time of the day. Now they have no time to grab a coffee and a Danish, whatever it was. They run out of that stiebel and they running towards the Twin Towers. And when they see the airplane going into their very office, their building, they they were blown away. What? How could it be? How could it be? Turns out this old man saved them. If he would finish 15 minutes early, they would be in the office right now and they would be a dead duck. So they turn around all together, spontaneous. They turn around because he's still by the Amid saying the Tillim after Elena. They couldn't wait for extra Kaddish. They couldn't wait for Kaddish de Rabbanan and Mishnayis, whatever. So they run in and he's not even there. What? There's only one entrance to that shtibel. How is it possible? Is that Eliyahu Novi or what? So the next time somebody turns us off, maybe it's Eliyahu Novi just saving our lives, schlepping it out. How do I have to wait an hour or two, whatever? And that gets me to the next story. There's a there's this boy, and this is what we just learned in Haftarah. There's a boy that's Nebuch, all around and around Yassim. He lost his father and mother, and he was home. He was a teenager. He became homeless. Terrible story. And now, so who's going to be Makazakim? Other people felt, I don't know if I want to take him in. He's like a street boy, not a thug. He's a little more idler than a thug, but he found his friends, the Loy Miley, They took him in and they stick. They were involved in illegal stuff. So he wouldn't do that. If it's illegal, he don't want to have to do with it. But the problem is, that's the only last resort. They took him in one night, and he took him in for a week, and the kid said, so he cried to the Boine Shloim. My father's probably so depressed up there in Shemaim. I mean, he is beyond disappointment because here he tried so hard. I can't do it to him. But Rabbi Shalom, I don't have where to live. If I should go to the non-Jewish drug addicts or whatever shelter or something, and they'll beat me. I don't know what to do. So if you can give me that, I can support myself and buy myself an apartment, like say $500,000. They told him you can buy a 2-room apartment, a dining room, living room, and a bedroom, and a kitchen and toilet. So if you can give me that, then I wouldn't have to look for a place, and then I promise you I'll go back to Frum World, the yeshiva, the shul, and everything. So David to help. Somebody found him, and he was Motzachain, and he found favor in his eyes. He says, "Come to 47th Street, in Manhattan, the Diamond District." And he slept in there. What should he do there? Clean the toilet, clean the floor. The lady didn't come today. Oh, fine. And then he became a shikingel, very geschicked. They shicked him here, they shicked him there, they shicked him all. And then he taught the Indian how to become a trader and to become a salesman. And he saved up a few dollars and he bought himself a tiny little something and he went and sold it, and, like unofficially. And his boss said, "Oh, that's up to Isaac. Oh, you're getting the hang of it over here." So and he started to deal with him, and he slowly became a salesperson. It turns out he was pretty good at it. And when he came to salesperson, so he sold and sold, and he made it up to $500,000. And then he realized, I promised, but you know what? $500,000 it can be so lonely that it has to have a partner. I need another 500 to be the partner, sort of. And when he had 1 million, he needs another 1 million. So the whole deal that he made with the Rebbeinu Shalom, Hashem kept his deal. He didn't keep his. So and then when he had 2 million. And it was I don't know, he didn't have it in the bank. I don't know. He didn't have the cash either. He had it by him, and so his friend that he made, a new friend, also a salesman from a different store in that same diamond district, tells him a little slippery slope type of person. And he tells him, look, I have a great deal coming up now. I'll put my money plus your money with 2 million. You're gonna strike rich. You'll get millions from now on. You'll be able to open your own store. And guess what? He fell for it. The guy took the money, calls him back a week later. So did it go through? He said, through what? He said, what? I gave you 2 million bucks. What do you mean 2 million? You gave me, I don't even know who you are. What do you mean? I'm the next door. We were sales. He doesn't know him. There's no documents, there's no nothing. The kid's now he went to the guy that helped him, to transfer the money. He said, what do you want from me? I told you not to trust him. You don't trust people with such amounts. You can see he was a teenager. He was about 20 years old. He didn't know better. He lost everything. Now he doesn't have a place. That he wanted to, he wanted to, Chas v'shalom, commit suicide. So somebody saw him and somebody said, "Look, if if you're too depressed to come into work and you can't do your work anymore, yeah, you have to get it. You need a new scenery. Maybe go to Israel, go to some yeshiva. And he told him there's a Balshuvi, who's going to take him in? There's a place they're taking people like from guys that went off and you say, and there's a very nice rabbi, such a warm, kind-hearted person. I'm telling you to fall in love with this rabbi. I'm telling you, he's going to be the father you don't have. So he listened, yeah, and he took his last money, bought himself a ticket, traveled to Israel, and then he had a few dollars he thought he'll use for a taxi. And he changed those few dollars, and then he bought himself a SIM card and a drink and a this and that. He didn't even have money to go to Yerushalayim. He had the rabbi's number, he had the telephone number and the name, but that's it. So he went outside, he's going to flag something down. So it turns out a rabbi came. It took his mishulach or somebody. He took somebody to the airport, and by mistake, instead of going up on the ramp to departure, he went by mistake to arrivals. And this guy was flagging him down. So he opened his window. Where do you have to go? He says, "Yerushalayim." Oh, I'm going to try and come sit in. He put his suitcase in the trunk. He put his handbag in the trunk, and he sat in the front seat. When the rabbi's talking to him, he sees clearly a tzibrochen, a broken-hearted kid like Mamish and Gansen, and he tried to pick up his mood, and it wasn't really working. But he slowly but surely there was traffic, and he had a whole hour to get to know the person. And he told him his whole story, how he was a yosem all alone on the street and kitza. And he tried so hard to stay away from illegal, Maisima Deloy Miley, and with the friends Deloy Miley, and but he struggled, and then finally he made his money, and he didn't keep his side of the deal with Hashem, and he lost everything, and now he didn't want to live. He was so broken, and therefore he was upset at himself, and I amount to nothing, and nothing can ever come of me. I'm just a failure, and the kids. So why'd you come to Israel? They told me there's a rabbi's name. This rabbi behind the wheel is actually the rabbi. Hashem sent him to arrivals instead of departure because he's actually the rabbi that this guy has on his paper with the number. So he encouraged him to call. He says, I can't call. If he would only look at me, he would never accept me. He probably had nobody as bad as me. This is like I'm so low now. I can't function. What daven? Where daven? Nothing. But the rabbi says, but give it a try. You already did, you took the big leap and jumped and you came to Israel. That's very courageous of you. And please make the phone call. And he budged him and he nudged him and he cajoled him. And finally he persuaded him to make the phone call. And he makes the phone call, and whose phone rings? The rabbi right sitting side by side. And the rabbi picks up and he says, hello. And he says, hello. Is that you? He says, I'm letting you know that you're accepted in my yeshiva with open arms, with such admiration, appreciation. And the boy is like, that you're talking to me, right? He says, yeah. He said, don't you see that Hashem sent me to the airport? I wasn't supposed to come here. And I took, I by mistake went to arrivals and not departure. So I can meet you and you can call me and I can accept you. He became like his father and the Bach. So Hashem says, Dirshu Hashem bihimotzoi. Seek out Hashem. He's right next to you. He drove up to pick you up. Customized. He's so close. Just believe. So then you have three levels of Amunah, and I'll end with that because it's very late. One level of Amunah, when somebody comes in and he persuades all the friends, all the Kanak of his class, he's nobody in the class. So he's trying to brag. What can he brag? My tati, my father, my father, my father. So what is he bragging? His father's extra rich? No. His father's strong? No. His father's Kanak? Absolutely not. But my father's such a good mensch. He would never raise his voice. He's always there for me. He's always willing to listen. He understands me. He never hits me. He never bullies me. He never abuses me. Good for my father. Mama. And he says, the bully in the class says, the popular guy says, I don't know, it sounds too good to be true. I don't know. I want to see for myself. He said, but he was so sure he had no issue because the taka was true. So he says, follow me home. He follows him home, comes into the house, and it turns out the father came there before he came, and he just went to the garage for something, or I mean the basement or whatever, and to get something. So the boy goes to the kitchen table every day. There's a cup of milk or sometimes water, seltzer, whatever it is. Every day there's something there for him to drink. When he goes over and he takes the glass cup and he's about to drink, and the boy says, "I don't know, my father. He's supposed to be home by now." And then the door opens up and the father walks in. And he says, "Hi, Tati," and he expects his father to answer, to reciprocate with a beautiful hi, a warm welcome. But his father runs over to him, smacks that glass out of his hand, hits his hand so hard, bangs it out with such shrieks, and the glass shattered all over the floor. And the kid, he was never hit. He was beyond himself. He did total shock. That boy, the bully, the popular kid in the class, says, and you expect, I knew you're a liar. I knew Mr. Schwindler. Look, your father's a maniac. He's an abuser. He's a bad man. Your father is the worst father. And I'm gonna tell it, I'll make sure the whole yeshiva knows about it. You, you don't fool me. I knew it, but now you're gonna get it from me because you schlepped me over here and you try to fool me. The guy leaves to you to back to yeshiva, wherever you went, when the boy is standing there and he doesn't know what to do. So here's the three options. One option, he goes off the derech. One option, he's mad at Hashem and his father. Like, how could you kill my reputation for a whole lifetime now? That everybody's going to laugh at me. Then you have the other. What's the other option? The other option is to confront the father. Why'd you ruin my life for? What did I do? Why'd you ruin my life for? It was totally uncalled for. I don't deserve it. And what would the father answer? The father answered, forgive me, but I meant your toiva. I meant your good. Why? It was for your benefit. Why? Because by mistake, I didn't know your cup and whatever. I put poison. It was bleach and chlorine. It was so because I needed to. Mommy asked me to go upstairs and to clear the drains and everything, and it was something that she couldn't deal with. So, and I went to get from the basement some gloves and to protective gloves. I shouldn't because it gets on the skin, it eats up the skin in a second. If you drink it, the guy's dead within seconds. So I saw you taking it to your mouth, although it wasn't close to your mouth because you would smell it. But I saw you taking it. I thought, what happens if you just shove it in and you have a stuffed nose? For your benefit, I saved your life. Now the kid understands that, but it's the first time it's Amuna, but the second was already Amuna plus understanding plus rationale. What's the highest level of Amuna? When a kid says, I don't ask my father questions. Why didn't you confront him? I don't have to because I trust him that he means my good. He loves me and he's competent. He's Avinu Malkeinu. And with that ahava, you thank Hashem for your personal gains this year, so your personal organs, all the senses work, and you have family, and you have friends, and you have panos, and you have a roof over your head, and you have a community that you belong to. You have pride of being a Jew, and good, positive pride. Hashem chose you from billions of people, thousands of people want to become Jewish, even amongst all this hatred. And Hashem chose you. You're here already. You're so close. He's sitting by the wheel right next to you, taking you by the hand and giving you everything. You thank Hashem, and then you say, Hashem, lemancha, lemancha, oy lemancha. What are you going to gain from another matzeva? Lemancha, for your sake. Let me use me this year, and let me be beneficial. And that ultimately, by the end of the year, Hashem, I give you my word that I'm going to do whatever I can this year, personally, privately, and collectively, that I'm going to try to do whatever I can so you can get a kesser, crown on your head, and I can give you a palace, a Beis Hashem, a Beis Hamikdash, that the Arabs themselves will say, let me knock down their building. They should knock down their own building to help the Jewish nation. Christians and the Muslims and all the other, worldly place, religions and non-religions, they should come together and come to the Jew and say, let me help you build a Beis Hashem, a crown for Hashem, v'yitin l'cha kes melucha, agmach simetor, a good gebencht Jahr, shana tova u'mesuka. Thank you very much.